Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Grafton furnace. That's the walking forge you can see on screen right now, and as always we're going to take a look at some gameplay, and in the latter half of the video I'm going to take a closer look at all the perks, the mutations, equipment and whatever you're gonna need to know about the build. Now let's get right into it. As a starter, I wanted to say what this build is going to be about, and pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to do a full health Rifleman build in power armor. Now, if you're familiar with the game, if you have played some time, spent some time with the game and such, now something that immediately seems odd is seeing a Rifleman character in power armor. It's just something you won't really encounter all that much when playing the game, and that's for a good reason. Now, mainly, if you're going to go for a Rifleman class, most people want to go for vets, and more importantly even for stealth. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you think about it. It's never been very much different in other games. Like, pretty much always the strong suit of Rifleman builds was being a stealth sniper, and I mean it makes sense and all. You wanna hit the weak spots, you wanna get additional damage from sneak attacks, and well, here's a legendary. Now, yeah, I was highly suspicious that this wouldn't be anything great, but yeah. Back to the topic. Now, what I wanted to say is that it's not exactly a well-kept secret or anything, but putting a flamer barrel on a plasma weapon is actually a great way to improve your DPS by quite a lot. Now, as I said, it's not a secret anymore. A lot of people know about it, and the major downside to this, and honestly pretty much the only real downside to this, is that you're burning through ammo a lot. Now, another complaint I see quite a lot is condition. So people tend to think that it's impossible to run this weapon because the condition is so bad, but well, just to make clear here, that's our condition, just slightly under full condition. And with the use of Gunsmith rank 5 combined with, also here you can see we're at around 2,300 ultrasight plasma cartridges. Yeah, with a combination of Gunsmith and Luck of the Draw, we're actually able to keep our weapon in pretty good condition most of the time. The Luck of the Draw perk, it kicks in relatively regularly, usually, but I mean you can always get unlucky and don't get it to proc and therefore get your weapon to break relatively fast. That's still true, but it's not a given. It's entirely possible that you can run this weapon for a long time without having to repair it. Now, oftentimes it even seems like your weapon is about to be broken, you know, when the symbol pops up in the bottom right of your screen, but it can actually proc like 2 or 3 times in a row and can repair your weapon back to basically full condition. Now, as you saw here, we haven't really lost a lot, and well, back to the topic. Now, what makes this character so unique, as I already mentioned in the beginning of the video, is that we're actually having the tankiness from power armor despite using a Rifleman character, which is really something else than you probably see. Now, let's take a look into that cave. Maybe the Deathclaw decides to be here today. Oftentimes it doesn't, but well. You decide to do something? Well, doesn't look like it. Bit buggy, I'd say. Yeah, sure, Liberty Prime. We got it. Now, the thing is, if you want to go for a Rifleman character, I wouldn't really recommend this character simply because it doesn't feel like this stealth sniper. Well, obviously not like a stealth sniper because we're not using stealth, but furthermore, it feels more like a commando weapon. So you can probably pull that exact same build off with any commando weapon. The thing is that power armor really synergizes with what we're doing here, and that is we want to get up close and personal with enemies and shooting them from short distance, meaning that if we aren't using stealth, which is possible with this weapon by the way, yeah, we're bound to take some damage. Now having power armor really helps with that, and also it just gives you this really nice feeling. You don't have to worry about radiation most of the time, and keeping ammo under control, we mainly do that by the simple trick of priming our weapon. Now, I am very much aware that for newcomers, priming a weapon isn't exactly the best thing to do. In most cases, you need to have a at least somewhat stable supply of fluxes, and they can be hard to come by. Now, I never really found that crafting them for yourself by just harvesting flora and such from nuke zones is a beneficial way. Now, obviously, if you're running the Scorched Beast Queen every now and then, you're pretty much having a good supply of fluxes usually. But yeah, if you would use this weapon to take down the Scorched Beast Queen in order to get flux from the event, you would get out with a negative, pretty sure. Like, you'd burn through more flux than you need. However, something I mentioned more than once yet, yeah, it's not hard getting flux if you're open to the idea of trading with other players. Now, usually selling one good weapon can easily gain you lots and lots of flux. I'm talking about 100 flux with ease. People tend to have thousands of flux on their characters. Now, it all depends, obviously, if you wanna trade. I'd only suggest to do this build if you wanna use one of the trading markets, like for example Reddit or the Facebook forums and such. But if you do, it's very easy to maintain a stable supply of ammo, simply because if you're crafting ultrasight plasma cartridges, I do have all the necessary crafting perks on this character, so I'm getting like 450 or something plasma cartridges, ultrasight plasma cartridges in one go, meaning with one flux, and therefore, yeah, getting like 8,000 or something shouldn't be a problem at all, and is actually enough so you can run the weapon sufficiently. Now, you could obviously use a ghost rifle or something to spare some ammo for, well, day-to-day combat or something, but as I said, if you're investing some time into trading, you can easily maintain this weapon here for the whole time where you're going to use the build. Now, this build is a real powerhouse. You're burning ammo, but yeah, you're really powerful. Now, obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement. You could definitely get higher. You could use way better weaponry. The reason I use this weapon here, it's called the Slugbuster, is because you can actually pull this character here off pretty much without the need for RNG. Now, in the most literal sense, you could say that getting hands on power armor is tied to RNG too, but honestly, I mean, let's be real here, sooner or later you get power armor, and depending on what you want, you can even get safe power armor in forms of quest rewards or something. So a set of power armor should be obtainable easily. And the other thing that is unique to our build, kind of a way unique, is actually found in the Grafton steel place, as well as our weapon. Now, within the same quest line, it's a certain quest for the raiders. If you're doing the raider quest line, you get to that point. You can get both the weapon and our unique helmet. Just want to see if I can show off the helmet. Well, it's a bit dark. Yeah, I make sure to show you off later when we have better sight. Yeah, we're not doing patrol duty, by the way. You can get both of these items within a single quest line, and therefore this build relies very little on RNG, which is something I want to do more in the future, like building characters around quest rewards and such. yeah, should be very newcomer friendly, despite the reason that you need to have the flux. But in terms of equipment, it's easy to pull off. Now, obviously, you can use the weapon unprimed, and it's still very powerful. The only thing is that you're running through more and harder to obtain ammo. But if you can manage to get a lot of plasma cartridges by any means, I mean farming daily ops or something, there's a few options you have, or you could just directly trade for them. Yeah, you can pull that build off and don't have a lot of RNG involved. What we wanted to do is we really wanted to invest into hipfire accuracy with this build. Now, we're mainly doing this by using ground pounder, but also by modding our weapon with true capacitors and such. Now, on some cases I had to do compromises. For example, with the stock, I used the stock that rather improved my condition bar than my hipfire accuracy, but yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Now, as you can see here, these are level 50 super mutants, so they're a bit squishy, but yeah, we're just melting them away. Now, also, if there's not a lot of enemies in this game that you can just kill very quickly. Overall, it's a very simple, very efficient character. What I do quite like about it is that I always want to have one of these characters where I just run in, don't have to think about how I approach enemies very much. I can just easily, casually walk up towards them and kill them off one by one, without ever having to fear a lot about my health bar. We can tank quite a lot. Now, we're not invincible, obviously. Tougher enemies, if we're talking like Mr. Gutsies or something, they can obviously still kill us easily. However, 99% of your fights you will live through without needing to use a stim pack, and as you just saw, after finishing a fight, we immediately gain our health back by a mutation, which means you're also running through very little stim packs. So you do have a lot of stim packs to sell or give to your friends or whatever. Also, I'm going to show that off in a second. Yeah, this is actually for once a character that doesn't use Lone Wanderer, but rather a bit of a team focus. But yeah, I think in terms of gameplay, that's pretty much it. I guess you do have a very good idea of how the character plays here, and well, this was just my take to show off what the unique weapon the Slugbuster is capable of, and what I think is a good way to use it. And now let's get into the equipment. Now, first and foremost, here it is. I just mentioned it. As you can see here, our condition still good. Now, we played for, I guess, 15 to 20 minutes, didn't lose a lot, and also there's always potential that we actually gain more condition in the future. But usually, if you repair the weapon up to 200%, you can easily run for half an hour up to an hour, depending on what you're doing, without having to repair. So that's actually not that big of a problem. Now, as you can see here, the effects on the Slugbuster, the unique weapon you can obtain from the quest, are that it has the anti-armor effect, better VETS crits, and reduced weight. Now, first and foremost, VETS crits are absolutely useless on our build, as we're not using VETS at all. It's something, obviously, if you can get a anti-armor faster fire rate or something like that, that would be great and would be more beneficial, but still, for being a free weapon, I feel like the anti-armor effect is more than enough for what we need. And the reduced weight, well, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it's nice to have. We're mainly interested in the anti-armor version. Now, that also means, by the way, that obviously if you don't want to go for the Raider questline, you can do this with a Saddler character as well, and just get hands on an anti-armor weapon. Another good choice would be Furious, in my opinion, or the obvious things like Bloodied or Junkies would also be nice. However, if you're going for a bloody character, you obviously need another build. With a Junkies one, you just swap in some addictions and that's it. Now, onto our apparel. This is a completely unmodded set of T51B armor. The only thing I did mod was the skin, Liberty Prime, And here it is, our prototype steel mill helmet. You get it within the same quest line as the Slugbuster. I mean, obviously, if you want to recreate this, just look up how to get these items. But it's not hard at all. If you just follow the quest line and have to do 1 or 2 steps right in order to get them. It doesn't have any significant benefit or something. The helmet just looks cool in my opinion. And yeah, the Liberty Prime skin, yeah, it's just the skin I wanted to use, and because I thought it matched the helmet quite well. Yeah, it's still too dark. Now, anyways, onto our mutations. Now, as you can see, we have a bit more strength from Powerarmor, but that's not important. Here we go, we have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Healing Factor, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. Now, first and foremost, Eagle Eyes isn't necessary for us at all. Egghead, not necessary. And Adrenal Reaction wouldn't be necessary too. Now, the builds you want for this character, in my opinion, are Bird Bones, Healing Factor, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. Now, Speed Demon, Marsupial, bigger jumps, faster reload, it's beneficial. Not necessary, but yeah, you want to have that. Healing Factor, yeah, as I've shown off, if you're fine with just using Stimpaks now and then, it's not a problem to run without it, obviously, but we're not really using chems all that much. And having that extra health regen is actually really cool. As I said, you can survive most fights without ever needing a Stimpak. You're still having like 30% health or something. And as soon as the fight is over, it takes like 5 seconds to be at max health again. That's just convenient in order to spare some aid items. And last but not least, Bird Bones. Well, the extra agility is actually pretty nice, simply because we do run a certain perk that can use it. And that's what I'm going to show off now. First and foremost, we do use some legendary perks, but I can assure you, for example, strength, the whole strength 3 you could go down to 1, and they're just convenience perks. So if you don't carry a lot of ballistic ammo with you or 8 items, you don't need those perks. I just have them because I switch my characters every now and then, and therefore I do have a lot of ammo on me that I don't actually need at the moment. So, and yeah, I'm a hoarder for chems, so even though we're not using them yet again. So that's that. Now onto perception. Here is where it is getting a bit more important. Now obviously we want to have Rifleman maxed out, Tank Killer for armor penetration on top of our anti-armor effect. Now these 2 effects stack with each other, but not multiplicatively, but rather additively. So in all fairness, you're not getting the 36% extra armor penetration. Yeah, if we want to break that down really quick, as you see it here, Tank Killer gives us 36% armor penetration. Now that leaves the character or the enemy with 64% armor. And now it doesn't work like adding 50% on top of that, but rather now we're getting 50% less armor from that 64% that are left, meaning that we're left overall with something like 32% armor on the enemy. It's still beneficial enough though in order to use it. And last thing here, Ground Pounder. Better hipfire accuracy is the main thing we're interested here. Now faster reload obviously is nice, especially combined with our Speed Demon mutation. However, that's not what we're looking for. I mean, we do have 300 rounds in our magazine and we don't reload all that often. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we took a second longer. The thing is, the extra hipfire accuracy is pretty nice. We pretty much fire the weapon out of our hip from most of the time. Like, we do use aiming down sights here and there, but you can entirely run with hipfire accuracy, and having a little bit of a tighter plasma stream is nice in my opinion. Now that could be up to debate. Maybe you want to have a bit more spread to it, then go without Ground Pounder. I thought it was nice here. Life Giver at rank 4 and Fireproof at rank 3. Overall endurance of 7. combined with these two perks, I think it delivers quite a lot of tankiness, which is nice. Combined with our power armor, we really don't have to worry all that much about dying. And next thing that really adds to our damage here is Tenderizer. Now you saw how fast the weapon is firing, so getting extra damage on every consecutive hit, that's really nice. Now our first shot doesn't do that extra percent damage, but 10% more damage for 10 seconds is actually really good. One thing that isn't a secret anymore too is that Tenderizer still is multiplicative, meaning that it's actually very beneficial. And inspirational, well, we do have relatively low intelligence, and yeah, therefore having extra XP when in a team, which you can easily do. I obviously went on a private server in order to record, but as you see here, I had this perk loadout on. Now you can still obviously yet again use Lone Wanderer and just use rank 2 of Tenderizer, or use rank 3 of Tenderizer and rank 3 of Lone Wanderer, but I feel like a bit of extra XP gain is probably more important on this character rather than a bit more survivability, with which we already have a lot of. Now onto our intelligence tree, batteries included. Now plasma cartridges, they're kinda heavy, and as you burn through them pretty fast, you actually do want to have batteries included on, otherwise you're looking at like something like 20 pounds of ammo, which can be a bit of a problem. Now obviously if you can live without it, you feel free to use those intelligence points somewhere else, but yeah. Onto Gunsmith. I use it a lot of times, and oftentimes it's just out of convenience. However, in this case I really would say that you have a problem without using it. Now as I said, we have our weapon condition under control, but without Gunsmith, yeah, it's actually pretty bad. Onto agility. Now through hiker, feel free to use whatever you like here. You don't need it at all. I just tend to have it on my character because I have a lot of Nuka-Colas and such. Action Boy is actually pretty nice. We do want to have some good action point refresh, especially since we don't have Lone Wanderer. And this here Dodgy, it just adds to our survivability. Now you can obviously live without that too. It's not necessary to our build. However, I felt like even though we are in power armor, we get hit quite often, and we actually, once we're in the fight, we don't need a lot of agility for once. Now as soon as you're using VETs for your gameplay or such, Dodgy is always a bit of a compromise because it drains your AP, but we're just firing from our hip, or sometimes we aim down sights, but we're not using VETs, we're not sprinting around, we're not using a jetpack, so using our AP in order to gain some survivability is actually a good idea on this case. And the last rank I had here, I went for rank 1 of Adrenaline. Now having more Adrenaline is always a good idea with this character. For example, if you don't need Through Hiker for yourself, using Adrenaline at rank 4 would actually be very beneficial, especially when you're going against hordes of ghouls or clearing something like West Tech. You look at a lot of extra damage that you can really use. And last but not least, we do have luck here. Starch Genes, I don't have to explain it. You want to keep your mutations. Actually, you can pull this character off without any mutations if you want to, but yeah, I still found them beneficial, and there's not a good reason not to use them. On to Class Freak. Now, we don't need a lot of luck perks here. Therefore, I for once went with Class Freak, because otherwise we actually have very low strength. It's even worse, and you really need a bit of carry weight. I mean, you don't need it, but you want it, probably. The only things we really need here are Bloody Mess and Luck of the Draw. Now, Luck of the Draw, actually very beneficial on this weapon. Bloody Mess, just a little bit of extra damage. And if you don't want to use Class Freak, you can entirely pull it off. Another good choice for this weapon here, for this build here, would be Tormentor, in my opinion. You could even argue that Tormentor is more important than Bloody Mess. However, I just found that, yeah, you can melt enemies so fast that most of the times you don't really see a benefit of crippling their limbs. However, if you're going against a Scorch Beast, for example, or Earl, the Wendigo Colossus, yeah, you can easily target specific limbs and just cripple them with ease, very fast. So it could be beneficial to swap Tormentor in, but yeah, that's up to you. Now, on to legendary perks. The ones we didn't use at all are Follow Through, because it only activates when we're in stealth, which we didn't. Ammo Factory, now this just gains me more ammo while crafting, so you didn't see that in action too. These two here, Master Infiltrator and Funky Dots, now obviously they're adding a bit of utility to our build, but you can definitely live without them. A bit of extra poison resistance is, especially since we're a full health build, not necessary, and yeah, you probably not even noticed it while I was playing now. And Master Infiltrator is just a convenience perk. Now, the ones that you will see a difference if you don't use them are these here. Legendary Strength 1 and Legendary Intelligence. Now, overall, as you can see here, we're looking at 5 and 1, so 6 perk points that you won't have access to if you don't use legendary perks. Now, as I said already, out of these 6 perks, 5 you could go down in strength if you don't need them. Arguably Ground Pounder, you could get rid of that too. There is definitely room that you can live without. Another thing, Endurance, you can actually go down to Life Giver rank 2 or something. You could arguably pull this build off even with 1 Endurance. So it's actually very much possible to do it without legendary perks. I just don't swap them out every time, simply because it does cost a little bit of points, and that adds up if you're doing these kind of videos. Now, anyways, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Now, this was a bit more of a generic video, I am very much aware of that, but I'm working on more quirky, let's say, or more wacky characters for the future again. I want to do a own little cryptid or something like that, but I still felt that this character was kind of unique in a sense that it was just a Powerarmor Rifleman build, which you don't see a lot, and it was actually a lot of fun to use. I do love the aesthetic of the plasma weapon, and I wanted to make use of the Grafton helmet, most importantly, you know, the T-51B steel mill helmet, the prototype. So in general, you can say that using this plasma weapon does also feel like it's kind of a prototype. So yeah, it's overall just a very cool character. Now, in order, when it comes to your power armor, the last thing I wanted to say is actually what could be beneficial and also fit the aesthetic quite well would be Tesla coils. They would be pretty cool, simply because enemies tend to be really close to you, or reactive plates even, so you can really somewhat, yeah, delve deeper into that whole power armor theme and walking tank theme. Now, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say at this point. Yeah, see you next time, guys. Pretty soon, I guess tomorrow or in 2 days. Bye.